head of all of the tables that you're talking about. He sits on the board of ASCAC. He like one of the biggest,
Ooh.
like one of the biggest Afrocentrics of the century. He that's top notch. So the that I mean I know that he is like up the top of the food chain of the people that we're talking
Is
about.
he
And
the final
also
boss?
Can we not use?
of
Final boss.
Hold on, listen to Sister
Afrocentrics.
Safa.
Hold on, let the
Hold on.
sister
Show
speak.
some,
Go
wait, show
ahead.
some
What you wanted
respect.
to
Go
say?
ahead, Sister Safa. Go ahead.
Can we not use anti-Semitism as the standard or whatever?
Barometer.
Because anyone can be accused of that. You can say you don't like them people type of food or something and be accused of that. So let's not use that
Okay,
as
stay right there.
All right,
a
cool.
rubric.
Yeah, we
No,
cool with
wait,
that.
wait. Stay right there, Sister Safa. Don't go on mute. I want to
Brass,
ask you a question.
talking to
If
chat and talking to chat. He trying to find how to join. So holler at him.
Tell them to join, all you gotta do is join the Discord.
He's in
Y'all
the,
got his
he's
phone
in the
number?
Discord. He's in the
Oh,
Discord
we
right
gotta
now.
post
Let's
the link
go
again.
to the
I think
general
it's
chat.
faster.
Okay,
He just
okay,
said I'm
okay,
in
I
here.
got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Man,
Hey,
bro,
listen.
I
So
wish I felt good about
Logic,
Reggie telling us all this shit.
wait, Logic. I know, let's because Reggie about to be on the list in a hot second. Reggie, we can
No,
do
not Reggie.
brother
Not
Reggie
Reggie.
could be on this
Everybody
list
get
too.
this, Sister Safa.
Everybody getting this work.
Everybody
Everybody
getting
getting
it.
a
Ain't no
critique of the
biases.
I'm passing out legacy critiques. So hold on, Sister Safa. Let me ask you a question. If I told you he said black and brown people are spiritually and morally superior because they evolved in warm climates with more melanin, and he claimed that white people evolved in caves of Europe developing aggression, greed, and coldness, would that make him pseudo or racist or both?
Oh shit.
I don't.
I got more questions. I just need to know. Would that make him pseudo or racist or both?
No comment.
Okay, wait.
I respect
No. Don't cut my wisdom. It's the second question. He argued that melanin is a superconductor of energy and spiritual force, and that our melanin explains our creativity and resilience, and suggests that whites are recessive and fear genetic annihilation.
Okay, so I would have to humbly say, Uncle, that's not right. We know better these days. I would have to humbly say that if he was my uncle.
He also, now in the anti-Semitism part, it says at the Empire State Black Arts and Cultural Festival, he said Jewish people, he attacked Jewish people. This is where the anti-Semitism comes from. This is because here's a sign. He was removed as department chair at CUNY. He was later reinstated through court because he claimed that Jewish people have a deliberate cultural plot to demean black people.
I know he said the Jews financed the slave trade or some wild shit like that. I don't remember.
I mean,
what was his doctorate in? Anybody know?
Like political science or something like that, I thought.
Oh God.
Yeah, but that could just be his belief. I mean, he's not alone. A lot of people believe that, certain people kind of have it out for others or have some sort of quote unquote power over things that go on. So I wouldn't get on him about that. That's just his belief.
So what about the sun and the ice people as a doctor passing that off as science?
Well, where was he talking about this at?
Good question.
Yeah, they say he came with the melanin theory. I didn't know that. That's
so he's so that's the connection. He came up with the melanin theory. She took it and passed it to science, or they were.
Well, never mind. He don't say he created, but
I'm
they
about
say
to get. Hey, listen. I'm not taking the blame for all of this, bro. Yes, he taught it as science. He taught these things. He's taught these ideas as if they were science and history. He taught this in the classroom. That's why he lost his job.
It say right here. It's stated but not published. I don't know.
It says as chair of Black Studies Department at SUNY University, he lectured on melanin superiority, Jewish control of the media and slave trade, sun people, and ice people. He's a pseudo and racist.
Well,
he was not. It says he was not speaking at rallies. He was teaching this at a major university, and students left because these ideas. He said the students walked away believing these ideas had academic legitimacy because he was a doctor and he taught it in class. That's why he was removed.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So
get
I
him
agree with
up out
that.
of there.
You can't be teaching that type of stuff in the academic setting. And I work for a SUNY. So you definitely can't be teaching anything you want to be teaching. So
Yeah, so he taught his Afrocentric views. Yeah, nah, that's pseudo, bro. Damn, Leonard.
Oh God, man.
Damn,
Talk
fam.
about Chad.
Oh
They should
my
have never gave you
God,
niggas
bro.
Chat GPT.
He
It said,
right.
It's
yo, no,
it's
listen to this. Listen to this. It said in 1995, the aftermath of Dr. Leonard Jeffries was that the Black Studies program was downgraded from a department to a program, and he was reassigned to political science, surrounded by faculty that didn't want to work with him because of his views and being taught to students.
Oh shit.
Dr. Leonard Jeffries was a racist and a pseudo.
yeah, I know he was a big supporter of Martin Bernal, that Black Athena stuff, and
Y'all said he got fired.
He got removed. I don't know.
Nah,
If
he didn't
got
get fired. I just looked it up. They said he challenged it with a case of another
No, he got
QENY
removed.
professor.
He just got
No,
his
listen,
position
I'm gonna
back
tell
in
you.
court.
It,
Okay, go ahead.
nah, it's saying that to state his case, he was comparing it to this other cat named Michael Levin, a QENY professor who outside the classroom claimed that Black people are inferior and had recently won against the school in court. One interpretation of Jeffrey's case is that while a university cannot fire a professor for opinions of speech, it has more flexibility with a position like department chair. So, which is probably why they downgraded his shit.
so it sounds like he was just demoted, but he still
Yeah,
But he
stayed
taught
teaching.
ICE people and some people to college students.
Well, there's a lot of things that go on before all this wokeness happened, back in the days, you could teach a lot of different stuff in college. So I've learned a whole lot of crazy stuff. So that's just what it is.
I went to college for political
he
science.
still promotes
Hold
the
on,
two
wait,
yeah, I
cradle
was
theory
a computer
today.
science major, so I ain't
Wait
get
a
none of that.
second. Hold on.
He still adheres to the
Before we
two
go
cradle
further,
theory.
I went to college for political science. I never heard of ICE people and some people until I joined the conscious community, bro.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess you probably wouldn't.
Let's not start saying we teach that this is normal.
No, she's saying that
for a
No, what I'm
university.
saying is, yeah, professors do have, certain leniency. They can talk about certain things, but now
You
where he
cannot
messed
talk
up,
about ICE people and sun people at a college university.
Yeah, he was talking about
it depends.
vibrations with melanin, all type of
Yeah,
shit.
trust me, it
Melanin
depends on
superiority
the class. It depends on the class. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Sociology.
Listen.
You could, right?
Hold on, listen. I teach nursing, okay? I have some of my colleagues who also teach against evolution. That's what they teach in the classroom. So you can teach a lot of stuff that may not be acceptable in classes, but you got to give, the other side to it and stuff like that. Now, his problem is that he started talking about the small hats. That's what got his butt demoted. If I had to bet some money,
I would
it's not
I would
about.
agree with you there. I would agree.
Yeah, so that's where the problem is.
I would agree with you
him.
there. Yeah, his removal definitely wasn't because of some people and ICE people. Soon as, especially in New York, if you are even sniff anti-Semitism, it's a wrap. And this Gilbert Arenas story, I knew that this was happening. So for people that, we'll talk about Gilbert. Gilbert Arenas was just arrested by the federal court on RICO.
When?
Gambling shit.
On gambling. Gilbert Arenas and 5 other defendants, including a suspected high-level member of an Israeli transnational organized crime group, were arrested today on a federal indictment alleging they operated an illegal gambling business in which high-stakes poker games were played at an Encino mansion Arenas owns. And you know who this is? Let me tell you who this is also tied to, if y'all been paying attention in the sports news. Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris was just arrested last week gambling because he owed 2 casinos over $250,000 and he wrote a bad check. Marcus Morris was at them games. I don't think it's a coincidence that Marcus Morris got arrested last week and Gilbert Arenas got arrested this week and 5 other people. So that's probably Kenyon and all of them. I don't know who it is. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna put that smut on it. Let's wait.
That's wild.
Damn, Gilbert. Well, Gil's
They're
Arena's
doing
gonna have
so
to take a break.
good, bro.
Well, they wait until you do good to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tuck, I just sent you. It's 150, and then I'll send you the link to join the franchise.
A high level of an Israeli and transnational organized crime.
Damn,
God
Gil.
damn.
Right when you started cooking, right when
God
you was
damn.
right when you was cooking.
Damn, and now ESPN on fire Shannon Sharp.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
they
Hibachi
said
was
it?
heating up
They
again,
did.
wasn't he?
They officially fired him.
Yeah, they officially fired him.
Well, that's Disney, bro. I expected that.
Yeah, they ain't playing that shit.
Yeah, I expected that. Well, he settled.
So,
You know what's funny? Y'all want to hear a funny story about him real quick? Shannon Sharp, the settlement that he had for that girl in that case amounted to all of the money he made as a football player. That's how much he had to end up paying. So he essentially lost every dollar that he lost, every dollar that he earned as a football player. That was the equivalent of what he had to pay her.
Plus the
That's
money.
insane.
I think he made 22, so he got 23.
Yeah. Damn.
crazy.
Nasty business. Hey, get married, bro. Get married. That's all I'm gonna say. Just get married and lose it in a divorce, possibly, but not to no OnlyFans model. But hopefully, Sister Safa, if you got any
I
other
say
questions,
divorces leave niggas broke too.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that
what I
leave
said.
most
But,
most
hey,
niggas
yeah.
leave broke. Leave divorces broke.
No, I ain't
Most
know.
niggas-
I'm sure nobody's surprised at how wild Leonard Jeffries is. But look up.
Yeah.
So what's the connection between
Tuck
Leonard
my out. I
Jeffries
just
and
sent
Wade
you the link
Nobles?
to the Cash App. What'd you say?
On Wade Nobles, I don't know.
So what's the connection between Leonard Jeffries and Wade Nobles? Well, they're
Well,
best
no, hold
friends.
on. Let's get a consensus on Dr. Leonard Jeffries before we move forward, because somebody gonna attack us on it,
Nah,
and then we
that's
got to look
pseudo.
further into it. So Chef and said, is Dr. Leonard Jeffries, based on just preliminary investigation, is he pseudo and racist or both?
Oh Lord.
Oh man, I mean,
I know,
based on that, what I just
Stu, you're
read,
walking into something crazy.
I gotta say he's pseudo. Honestly, bro. I mean,
And where would you stand as far as racism?
see, that's to me. I'm always finicky about that because, like,
He taught the
that
same
one,
thing that Francis Cress
that's what I'm
Welsing
saying.
taught.
But even on Francis Cress Welsing, I mean, yes, it classifies as racism, but that's the one side of it that I can possibly attribute to the times. You know what I mean? It's like I can see somebody in that time being prone to be as malicious, as back towards them. But that's that's neither here nor there.
Is calling all white people and all black people one thing?
Yeah, that's just
it's
scientifically
racism.
wrong about them. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Again.
Hold on, Stu. We're gonna get to you. We're
But
trying to move on.
racism, I have a different. I have a
That's
different idea of racism. It's like using it's an organized way of holding folks back. I don't think those people did that.
Hold on, I gotta read two what's the names from the chat. I don't know if what's the name? No, gambling league. Oh yeah. I don't know what's tough. All right, so
Ain't legal
one
in
quote,
California.
Babylon Dunn says some people and ice people are talked about in class where the skin color is applied to the skin map used in geography. People close to the equator, you spelled equator so wrong, but okay. People close to the equator, dark and close to the poles, lighter. I know that, but that's not what he was teaching. Shouts to you though.
Yeah, you trying to fit it into that now.
But also I think Babylon Dunn is the person that actually believes that Christianity stole Christianity from Egypt 100%. You can defend yourself later, but I'm gonna put that badge on you real quick. And Ricardo Robinson says most of these so-called master teachers or substandard master teachers were liars frauds, con men, and despicable individuals. They confuse the hell out of African Americans. Just look at the community. Thank you, Ricardo Robinson. That's literally why we're having the conversation.
Yep. Yeah, that's what got us here.
Yep. That's why we're even.
And I honestly think the conversation should be more like, for the people that don't want to throw these people out, like, what's the value in keeping them? Is what I want to know. Like, what's the
we need
value
some
in
more
their
of
work?
those people to tell us
Let's
what
make
the hell
The
the
value
value
in their
is.
work
Let's
that
go ahead and judge.
we should keep it around, or
Let's do
we
our
should
judge
continue
real quick.
to.
Let's be fair. Let's do our judge. Logic. Dr. Leonard Jeffries. Pseudo and racist, or both? Or neither?
Both.
Okay. Chef is not there. Sosa is on mute. He said give him time. Sister Safa, you would say he's pseudo, but not necessarily
I mean, he
racist?
said some anti-Semitic things, but I don't know about his work though. I don't really know. I don't know him talk about slavery and shit like that. So I don't know what I mean.
Okay, so you're reserving judgment?
Yeah, let me see what he said.
Okay.
I'm gonna say no comment for me.
Yeah, I know that's one of your. That's I know
trying to be politically correct. I feel it.
To your heart when we said Dr. Leonard
And
Jeffries.
she said she work in academia, so she got to be. I feel
No,
it.
I understand that, and Sister Safa has always been 100% balanced, similar to like Majasi, and I'm actually glad. We actually do need some females.
Need more of that,
yeah. Yeah, we need some more people to kind of regulate these conversations. A lot of these is men talking and probably gets a little boisterous from time to time. I can admit that. Corey, I don't know if you can talk. I see you off mute. Dr. Leonard Jeffries, pseudo or racist or both or neither?
Well, I know he espouses a lot of pseudoisms. I don't know how racist he is. I have heard him say some racist things, but I don't know if I could put him in the category as a racist because I don't know that much about him. But I know enough to know that he is pseudo.
Okay. Who
I stand right there
Smalls,
with
and then we'll go to Stu P. Smalls.
You already know. I'm gonna say both.
Okay. Stu P's and Tuck. That link is in the chat. You pay the fee, and then I'll send you the link to the league. Go ahead, Stu P.
Knowledge is a dangerous weapon. Knowledge is a dangerous weapon. Now we have the average dumb person like me, and I call myself dumb all the while, in comparison to the brightest of the brightest, have access to more knowledge than 99.9% of people who came before me at my fingertips. And for me to just write off people based upon my own simple logic is unfair. It is unfair because I have to take into consideration the experience that caused people to come into these conclusions. And writing off people based on what they said, based on the knowledge that they had, although it might appear pseudo to us now, because we can compare it to many things, to them it could be slightly pseudo, but they had to choose a square to stand on. They had to choose a square to stand on. It's pseudo if we're using all the tools and equipment that we have now. But if you were hearing him for the first time when he said this, would you have said he was pseudo?
Scholars
So are you saying the best way to say that being racist is bad is to be a racist?
No. Logic. Let's not lead to a whole nother conversation. Just hold the question. Remember what you said. Write it down.
Yeah.
Scholars and experts at the time said, there were scholars and experts at the time that said what he was saying was pseudo. Matter of fact, there were people in the Afrocentric community at the time that said sun people, ice people, melanin superiority was pseudo, not just 2025.
But it was majority of echo chamber at the time. Remember, I bring up echo chamber, I think yesterday, the day before, that most Afrocentric persons were in a group with themselves, strengthening their own argument. And it became an echo chamber.
That was the dangerous part about it.
Yeah, but guess what we're going to have now, Corey? We're going to start identifying individuals one at a time. Now we'll start picking them out. And you realize that these individuals have some association with each other. So we're going to start wholesale now separating groups, not realizing that it was an echo chamber.
But echo chamber ain't a defense or an excuse. ever.
No, because flat earthers sit in the echo chamber.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we can recognize the time, but recognize it. He's a doctor. He's a doctor with a degree. You could recognize an echo chamber with neither. I can recognize the echo chamber, so it's not an excuse and a defense.
You realize, no.
Me being untrained can figure out bullshit. Like when you hear, bullshit when you hear it.
No, Brass. You realize, Brass, that we have identified 2 doctors. We're not talking about people on 125th now.
Yes, that's why it's a standard.
We're talking about 2 doctors now. And we're going to identify many more in the future. 2 so far. 2 doctors.
Jeffries has a
academically trained doctors. Not Dr. Reggie we're talking about. We're talking about
these are educated doctors.
Right.
I mean, Stu.
Right. So therefore, doctors, which one is alive now? The pseudo one that's alive now?
Umar.
No. Dr.
Leonard Jeffries.
Dr.
Leonard Jeffries still alive.
Yes. We'll have more to identify. You understand the path we're going down.
No, I get your point. I do get your point, though.
Should we back off or should we go down that road?
Yeah, we can't forget he's still using the 2 cradle theory. Right. Like yes, he's alive and he's still promoting it.
You understand?
Oh yeah, you can't be alive and not update your information and still expect us to respect you. Like, come on, that's crazy, man.
Hey, Corey, you're like this.
That's crazy, bro.
Wait. I said, so were there any internal critics that critiqued him, right? Now, I find it funny that Malefi Asante criticized Francis Cress Welsing, but didn't criticize Dr. Leonard Jeffries for the same information. That's funny.
She might not have knew about Leonard Jeffries, though.
Hey, listen to the
Leonard
ones
Jeffries
that
got
did.
pulled.
There's a name, Corey. Listen to the ones that did. Mary Lefkowitz.
Born before Cress Welsing.
Cornell West.
I remember when Cornell West always condemned them.
Melanin-based racial superiority narratives, and Henry Louis Gates Jr.
I was going to say Skip Gates definitely been criticizing all them for 30, 40 years.
Right, this is late common knowledge. But listen.
Skip been criticizing
them since we're not trying to change no opinions. I agree with you on that. I'm not saying this for people that like Leonard Jeffries to all of a sudden not like him. I'm just offering my opinion. That's all. Yeah, we're not trying to.
Because you say he was. That don't mean you gotta not like him because he was pseudo. I mean, I like SETI. I like Cyrus Sutin SETI. Like the old SETI, but not the new SETI, the old SETI. But I like him, but I know he's pseudo, but I do like him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that don't mean you gotta dislike the person.
Yeah, I still tune into the Archers and smashing them, but they pseudo. I don't got no problem with them.
What about the missing disinformation, Corey?
Listen, the people in the back.
It's dangerous. So, like SETI.
I have a word to all of you. You are all inquisitors. You are the Negro inquisitors. All of you are Negro inquisitors. I'm not going
to hear what Corey got to say.
Go ahead, Corey. You are the Negro inquisitors.
Hold on.
Of course, that is Spanish inquisitors. That is Spanish inquisitors. You are all Negro inquisitors.
All of you
are Negro inquisitors.
So
hold on, Supi. Go ahead, let Corey get it out.
So Cyrus Sutin SETI, right?
Missing disinformation.
He espouses a lot of dangerous shit. Especially like the new SETI. Like I wouldn't recommend anybody like to the new SETI, right? But I always said this about SETI. Was even when I like in the heat of SETI, like SETI at his peak, I always had this same opinion about SETI, right? I would recommend young like adolescents, like, I don't know what adolescent is it like 16 to 18 or maybe even 15.
Not quite, but just say your age group. We got you. What 16 to 18?
Yeah, 15, maybe even 15 to 18, like freshmen to seniors, right? Yeah. I would recommend a lot of the shit that SETI says, even the hyperbolic and and even the hyperbolic and even slightly some of the racism. Because remember the other day I told y'all that propaganda well manicured is beneficial, right? And
Yeah,
I
fight
think
racism with racism.
yeah, look slightly, yeah. The thing that I get, the
This
thing
is
that I
wild.
get, yeah, it's because it's a lot of it's nuance and shit. Like you can't blanket,
Oh
you
God,
can't
I heard
blanket
West Side
everything.
I'm not
Okay.
believing y'all.
Nah,
Bro.
Raz,
Go ahead,
cooking, bro.
Corey.
Let
You're
my
right.
bro
You're right.
cook.
Go ahead.
Let my bro cook. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, so just the fact that you just can't blanket everything, right? And SETI, like I said, I will say SETI is to a degree dangerous. What I would recommend though, with those kids, with that group, with that age group, freshmen to seniors though, I would recommend an off ramp for that though. You see what I'm saying? Because SETI has a well manicured propaganda. You know what I mean? His propaganda is actually well manicured. Now, when he gets into, all the white folks is crawling around with a tail and on all fours and all wild.
Yeah.
It's a little wild, that I wouldn't recommend that type, you know what I'm saying? But he talks about that black empowerment, even the banging on the beast. You see what I'm saying? Like, even that is a positive rhetoric. Like, SETI makes one proud to be a black man. Like when I listen to SETI, back in 2008, you know what I mean? Even up into 2010 and shit like that, right? Listening to him made me proud to be a black man. You know what I'm saying? It made me feel civilized. It made me, you know, pick my head up around white folks. Not that I had my head down or nothing, but you came out with a little extra chest, with your chest out, just a little bit extra after listening to a little bit of SETI. And I think that's healthy, but I think it's dangerous without an off ramp.
SETI
That's my expression.
is a pseudo and a
He is
racist.
pseudo.
The only difference between Francis Cress Wilson and him is he ain't a doctor passing off what he's saying is science. He's more. I think he would fall more.
He comes off like he's doing rhetoric, like he's not hiding the fact that he's giving out propaganda and rhetoric. Like that's him. You can listen to his cadence and you know what I'm saying, the way he gives it. You know what I mean? It's
I agree with everything you're
a
saying.
nigga talking shit. You know, like he talks real good. I got uncles and cousins that got the same cadence as Sarah Sutin said. That's probably why I gravitate to him more. Like the way he's talk that slow, man, and that motherfucker and this, that, and the other,
Yeah,
I got
charismatic
uncles
leader.
and cousins that do the same shit though. You know what I'm saying? They talk the same exact shit. You know what I mean?
Detroit.
And it's they talking shit. Like though you can, it's like Unc is stand up here and Unc talking a bunch of bullshit, right? But some of that shit, some of the shit Unc saying is you can ride with that. You see what I'm saying? Like Unc gonna tell you, Unc gonna give you some game, and that's what more or less what I'm feeling about Sarah Sutin SETI. He's just trying to give you a little bit of game here. You know what I'm saying? Not putting it off as this is some type of scientific, you know what I mean? And you need to.
You're a pseudo. It's Corey. Then I want to say this publicly, so I'm being fair. You are a pseudo enabler.
Absolutely,
and,
absolutely.
And if you're an admitted pseudo enabler, I have no problem with it.
Good.
The old Sarah. Now, don't talk about Sarah Sutin SETI in 2025 with me. I'm talking about Sarah Sutin SETI in old school. You know what I mean?
Old school Sarah.
Presentation. You know what I mean? Well, go
You
ahead.
know,
Go ahead.
old school Sarah Susan Steel, you know, they walked on all fours, goddamn.
Yeah. I said it was
Yeah.
a little bit of cringy in there. Like I even, in 08 and 2010, I never liked it, that part of it, but I liked it the most of the other
Yeah, the
shit. I
banging on the
always liked
beach. I
it.
get it.
I
They
like the
yeah,
big,
that's
Hey,
shit.
the
Sped
banging
Breeze,
on
we
the
gotta clean up
beats
this
comes
community.
from the all four shit, Sosa.
Polluted.
But I
Nah,
like that banging
you
on
said
the
they make
beat.
you feel
We
good. They
gotta
make you feel
do some
good.
cleaning in this community.
I
This
don't. I
community
don't
is
I
so much.
like
infected.
I actually
banging
don't
on the
so much
beats.
mind everything that Corey said. To be honest with you, like
Oh,
so,
you
and I
infected
think.
I don't
too.
understand, bro. This is crazy.
I mean, let me explain. Let me explain. So I don't. I definitely wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't pick Sarah Susan Seti as a person that I'd use as an example.
Right.
But the stuff that he was saying about maybe necessary propaganda, like there's something in there, and I think that inside of that conversation lies the struggle as of why it's so difficult to draw a line of keeping these, a hard line
It's
of do we keep
blurry,
them or do we
yeah.
throw them away?
But you
Yeah,
know y'all
That
fucking up our
won't be my
argument though,
line.
right?
I'm
You know what I'm
not
saying?
saying I pick Sarah
But you
Susan
know,
Steady as the shining example,
Meanwhile,
but
y'all
absolutely,
fight me
but
on
you
hard
know that
lines
y'all
saying
fucking
this.
up the argument
I
by
wouldn't
saying the
use
shit that
Sarah
y'all
Susan
saying
But
Steady
though.
as
y'all
the
been fighting me
example.
on. Hold on, Brad. Hold on, Brad. Hold
Yeah,
on.
y'all
They've been
fucking up
fighting
the
me.
argument now.
They've
I
been
don't know where
fighting me
y'all
on
stand.
hard line standards now. All this and
How do y'all?
wavy
How do
lines, curves.
We still haven't established a line as to like what we should deem unethical or unfair to us as the audience, right? Because I think the big argument has been us as the audience. It's not fair to us for a doctor to come give us the wrong scientific information. That's not fair to us.
That's the
30
dangerous
That's being
part
fair
right
to
there.
them. That's not
Hey
fair to
Corey,
us.
Judas
Go unchecked for
That's
30
Redemption said
years.
Judas Redemption said that
Oh, JJ.
Seti ain't been the same since Zion Lex smacked the dog shit out of him.
He ain't. He that's the truth. He ain't been the
He
same.
said he ain't been this. I want to see this. Is there a video of that somewhere?
No, Sonetta took it down, but
It
they
was on
kind of showed
Sonetta.
when they was arguing a little bit, but then they cut it off right when the physical stuff started or whatever.
Hey Corey,
But
I
yeah,
want to tell you something. I want to tell you and Logic something. I don't
What up,
know if
Psycho
y'all doing
Patriot?
this on purpose. I don't know if y'all doing this by mistake. But when y'all start saying stuff like what y'all saying now, then this now comes off as we're attacking the elders, quote unquote, of the conscious community, but somehow giving a pass to the ones that make us feel good. That's what it
Nah,
sounds
I'm
like.
not doing that. I'm definitely not doing
Are we throwing away
I
Francis
might
Cress
be doing a
Wilson,
little bit of that. I might be doing a little
but
bit of that.
keeping SETI?
No, Corey, I can understand because Smalls, can you say that last sentence one time as loud as you can?
Are we throwing away Francis Cress Wilson, but keeping fucking SETI? That's the question I'm
The old
No.
setting, though, not the new
I don't
setting.
care.
No.
if it's
The
the
I
old
don't
setting.
give a
And
fuck
you know
about
I'm not.
they
SETI.
I'm
keep
not.
Teddy around because he's
I'm definitely
comical.
not.
He's funny,
I
so you
don't
got to
know
keep him
about.
around for
Oh
that.
wow!
Hey,
I
so
don't know about this, bro.
so the difference. Listen to the difference is though. Francis Cress Welsing is coming off as this is serious business. This is a diagnosis and actual science behind this. Sarah, everybody that walk in, everybody that buys a ticket or clicks into Sarah Susan Seti's lecture, they know they finna get a gang of propaganda. You know you getting a bunch of propaganda. Initially going in, you know Seti's not
comedy.
coming in. Yeah, and comedy. You're being entertained by
Yeah,
Sarah
but
Susan Seti.
Yeah,
need to
hold
go
on.
too.
Hold on, but Corey, he's also saying we need to strap up. Well, we need to
Yeah,
get our
That's
guns
his opinion.
so we can.
He ain't saying that's science behind it.
Nah, but he's telling like he's getting people to arm up and do something particularly dangerous, Corey. To a bunch
I
of
ain't heard him
rousing
say
up a
we need
bunch
to
of
strap. Is that what he's saying nowadays? Because I ain't
He
never
don't
heard
talk
him say
That's
we
the
need to
old.
strap up.
That's the old.
He
That's the old
don't talk
city.
like that now. He's calmed down
That's
quite a
old
bit.
city.
Oh man,
Corey said
I
old.
ain't never heard him say we need to arm up though, Sosa. I never heard him say that.
the infection has made it inside of the Discord. I
Wait,
didn't know
y'all
that.
don't see that This is a result. A lot of this
Yo,
shit.
this is
Like,
crazy. Then we gotta keep Umar. Hey, Umar Johnson is entertaining. We gotta keep him too.
No,
So,
Umar Johnson is just a
No,
scammer. He ain't
no,
even
no,
dangerous.
Umar
he,
I mean, his
Johnson.
Steady
danger
takes
is
money for that
because
bullshit.
of our social economic
But
position. That's why
Steady
he's
Corey,
accepts
dangerous.
money, don't he?
y'all don't
Don't
think
Steady
y'all
take
don't
money?
y'all don't think the Cress Wilson pool ball shit was cold? How the
That was
white
Yeah,
ball
cool.
not
it
I
was
liked
it was
that. I actually
charismatic.
liked that.
man,
I liked the
that
pool
was
ball shit.
cold. That was
Yeah, I
cold.
liked it. I can say I liked the pool ball shit.
Sosa, you might be. Oh god, I gotta separate my argument from y'all.
No, it was good. I liked the pool ball thing, but the danger is though, like she's not a Sarah Seti doing that. She's a responsible
No, he's
doctor.
worse. He's worse. He's also worse. You know why? Because
Why?
charismatic leader is the beginning of the cult, and cults ain't good. The people that follow him, the people that like, I
I
remember
don't
we
think
had
they
that
never was in
conversation
a cult. I
about.
don't think Seti
No,
like
listen,
culty though.
listen. When we was talking about Pan-Africanism one day, and I said my issue with Pan-Africanism is not in it on its face what Pan-African is. It's all these different versions of Pan-Africanism that you got to try to follow. So I would assume some of the Pan-Africanism is good, but then when you pan over to SETI with AR-15s, talking about arm up and shoot if you feel like you
I
in
never
danger
seen
and all of
Seti
that.
do that. I have never seen
There's a
Seti do that.
picture.
He's done
There's
it. He's
literally
done it.
a picture
Done
of Cyrus Seti standing in front of a group of gentlemen talking with AR-15s saying "strap up for
Oh,
your
that's
freedom."
new Seti. That's new Seti right there. That
Nah,
ain't the
Bro,
old
I don't
Seti.
give a damn.
Nah, that old Seti, Corey. I heard
ain't
Was it
old
old
Seti say
Seti?
that.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
I promise you, I didn't see that.
That's what made me say, you know what,
He
he's
doing
crazy.
that. Listen. If he doing that, Sosa, like if old Seti doing that type shit, then yeah, he's very dangerous. Like he's
New Seti
more
don't do
dangerous.
that now. Yeah, New Seti in the comfort of his own home chilling. He ain't quite, he ain't quite like that now. But the old Seti, yeah.
I think
I've
Sosa
never
was
seen that in the
talking about.
old one though.
Yeah, Sosa talked
That's
about it
new to me.
Probably
That
believe
is that's definitely new to me. Like with the
Yeah,
AR, with the
AR-15,
guns
strap
and shit.
up. You got to kill these crackers for your freedom. I heard the whole thing when I was in the PK Discord.
Really? Seti,
strap up.
he always talked about banging on the bees, but he wasn't never talking to
No, he
me.
meant
To me,
literally. You
I
just didn't know he meant.
never hear.
You didn't know he meant literally.
Yeah, he said
Right.
he used to say things like revolution ain't gonna always come with blood. That's his main thing. You know what I'm saying? Like revolution comes with blood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
he's young.
you won't change. Yeah,
The infection has
Damn,
apparently.
buddy. Hey, somebody said something good in the chat. A nigga said we gotta do Amos Wilson. I ain't ready for this.
Yeah, I said
I don't even know. I don't even know who he is.
We ain't doing that with Amos Wilson. I'm gonna stop that right
I don't
now.
even know who he is.
We're gonna cut that out right now.
Yeah.
Well, hey, guess what? You know what that means, Corey?
Amos Wilson.
So wait, Logic.
Nah,
you
I
said
think
you wanted to
Amos
Wilson is solid. I think he'll
Amos
pass.
Wilson is solid. Yeah, he'll pass. He'll pass.
You said
Yeah, I was
Wayne
gonna say if you guys
Wayne.
do that, then it's time for me to get off this train.
Yeah, man.
We can say Wayne for last. I think he's gonna be the
not
best.
fooling with it. I ain't
think
fooling
Amos
with it.
gonna pass. He passed.
Yes.
He's
Nah, but
straight.
we got a few vehicles in the parking lot. Everybody ain't the same.
We can say Wade Nobles for last. I think he's gonna be.
Wait
the
a
best.
minute.
Well, hold on.
Couple of us drove here.
Wait, Amos
I don't want to hear y'all say nothing about Amos Wilson.
Okay, well, I'm about to say something about Amos Wilson. Let me just have a double check and triple check this. Double check and triple check this source.
You gotta read his
Amos
work,
straight.
bro.
I'm willing to bet he hold up. I got money.
Amos Wilson gonna hold up. He gonna hold up.
What I'm gonna say is that you're gonna find that even though different side, like a lot of them are tied together, especially if you have some type of black nationalism about you. You know what I'm saying? Because when you think of Cornel West or Henry Louis Gates, you know what I mean? Probably Henry Louis Gates, less so. Cornel West less so, but you don't really associate them with black nationalism. But the people that you do associate with this type of Pan-African black nationalism, they all rub elbows to some degree.
I never really classified Amos like that, like in the black.
Me neither.
You know?
Right,
Yeah,
like I
I'm gonna
said,
put him in here.
Nah, no,
he
I
is
Which
got
is
you.
why,
Y'all
it's
defend
definitely
which is
pro
y'all
why
black.
I
defend them
say
before we even look them
they
up.
worked on the curriculum together. Go ahead.
Who
Yeah,
did?
they was all in on each other's lie. I tell a lie, and I don't tell nobody about your lie. You don't tell nobody about my lie. That's all that is.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
definitely
Amos was
something.
in on that.
It's definitely gonna be. I don't know for sure, but it's definitely gonna be something like like you, like Corey, like you said, we ain't finna add them in front of you. White. All this other stuff, we gonna have these arguments behind. But when we in front of these white folks, we gonna have some type of solidarity.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Now that ain't nothing wrong with that per se, right? But when we get in the house, like we definitely got to argue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we gotta
Like,
hash
I
it
mean,
up.
No.
definitely got
How
to
do you
hash
get
that out.
how do you get a group of credentialed experts
Oh yeah,
together
he definitely.
they sit in the room? They sit in the room, and what they come out with is
Ooh, nah,
melanin
Amos,
theory.
nah, I ain't
They
letting
come
that
out with
go.
all the
This is a
stuff that
quote.
don't
I ain't
got no
doing it.
evidence.
This is a quote. This is a cited quote from Amos Wilson. The black man being the first man to walk this earth, to establish civilizations, to build institutions, governments,
He
and
was in
so
his
forth,
time.
I think is still today genetically
his time.
represented in the black child. 9 hours, it says in the same booklet he cites and endorses, 9 hours old, being drawn up in a sitting position, able to prevent its head from falling backward. It takes the European child 6 weeks, showing their inferiority. And the
Yeah, that's
hush
just
goes over the
crazy.
crowd.
Hey,
No,
all
there's
right.
no hush. If you read the Gerber study where he drew that from, then you'll know that it's not necessarily his
Thank
piece.
you,
He was
Mujasi.
drawing meta-analysis from some data that was already there.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah.
Look,
he
you
did
done made
pull
Chef
that out
leave.
So
man.
this came from
Following
Gerber.
Chef. I'm following
Look up the
Corey. We out
Gerber
of here.
study.
What'd you say, Psycho?
He's
We
saying
done
that
crossed the goddamn line, y'all.
no, hold on,
We done went
no,
across too
let him get it
far.
out.
He did
He's
get that.
saying
No, he did
he's
get
saying that the analysis came from the baby with the head. That he didn't make that up. He's saying that's what he's saying.
So Gerber is racist?
Mujasi, they tried to slick
No, the
us.
study just was
Glad you
they
Right,
had
they tried
studies
to
that would
slick.
talk about
They tried to slick us, Mujasi.
no, they had studies that would say like when they looked, they evaluated stuff like which child
When you
walked
say
first.
Gerber, are you talking about Arnold Gessel?
I'm
Because it
thinking
says
Gerber.
not. It says
Thinking
Gerber.
like
It doesn't say
Gerber,
Gerber when you say
baby.
that.
I'm thinking Gerber. I was thinking.
Who did he get it from specifically?
Well,
Mujasi?
what
That's
Jossie
what
tell
I'm
you?
looking at. I'm looking for it right now because it's in the
I'm
book
thinking.
Awakening the Natural Genius of the Black Children. And
That's
I'm
what I'm saying.
pulling it open right now so I can grab the actual study.
That's what I'm saying.
Question: Can I ask a question? We realize now that the Grand Inquisitor is not here. That's Sheffrin. The Chief Inquisitor, which is Corey, and Brass. Why are you starting this?
Sheffrin is the bishop
No,
of
let him
humanity.
finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Sheffrin is a Grand Inquisitor. Sheffrin will tear everybody off and down. He started with Queen, the African Queen. Sheffrin started. And Sheffrin started that.
Yeah, we had to get rid of her.
Right? All the junior inquisitors, all they're becoming Negro inquisitors. That's all they're doing here. Stop it.
I'm a
Inquisitor. I'm a
Stop it.
Negro Inquisitor.
Of course you are. You're trying to get
just a junior
and pseudo.
Because we gotta put an end to it because people are still gonna come across this information.
You realize
I'm just a junior inquisitor.
So you're gonna recommend all this stuff to your folks, Stupies, since it ain't what you think it is. You're gonna be like, hey,
I'm going to instill them with knowledge, but give people the opportunity to be pseudo. You have to give people the opportunity to be pseudo.
But you don't just let them stay pseudo.
I mean, they went through the 80s. I mean,
You don't let them stay pseudo.
30 years ain't enough.
You have to give people the opportunity to be pseudo. We cannot be going after all
For
our
how
people.
long though? Forever?
No, your job is to pick nonsense from friends.
Opportunity.
We watch motherfuckers get their medical license and stricken off records, but we can't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah. What about
why we get a grace?
What about this race word, right? Can we afford
All right,
to
Junior.
allow people to be
He said, "All
racist?
right, Junior Inquisitor."
All right, Junior. The grind is not here.
Hey
All
man,
right.
No,
I don't like
hold
seeing
on.
pedophiles.
It says that. No. Listen. It
I want to
says.
come back to the study.
No, it says
Go ahead.
Amos Wilson is not primarily pseudo. His core
Yeah.
framework is power-based, not melanin, not genetics. He has made pseudo-adjacent moments, biological language about Black genius and early infant comparisons, but he is not in the same category as Wilson, Jeffries, or Farrakhan. His core thesis
That's all
is
I want.
racism.
Yeah,
Racism
right
is a
there. I
system
stand
for
right there.
maintaining power enforced through schooling, media, law, and psychology. He's mixed, but the things that he teaches are not pseudo.
Was he
So
racist?
they don't call him.
And so
pseudo.
he
They don't call
has,
him pseudo.
that's the definition of well manicured propaganda. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's what I mean by
Racist.
what you just.
Was he racist?
Nah.
Because y'all, they throwing away racist code. Anybody racist, they
It
throwing away
says
over
Wilson's
space.
center of gravity is power. He sometimes uses
No, he
biological
wasn't racist.
language, infant motor comparisons, genetically represented Black legacy, but that's fair game to critique. But his entire core argument doesn't build on melanin, nor does he sell theology as science like the NOI. So he's not pseudo, but he has pseudo lapses.
Yeah, but it's compare. I wish you got to separate it because it's making everything comparable.
I have a pseudo
What did it say about his commentary? Is his commentary what he said about
I'm gonna
that race?
start a new one. I'm gonna start a
Yeah,
new
start a
one
new
to
one,
take
so
out the
don't
other
keep-
stuff.
Yeah.
Just for those who want to look at it within the material, in his book, The Awakening Natural Genius of the Black Child, page 38, he goes into a topic called the Black Child, the sensory motor and brain power. And in that, he analyzes a study that was done by Marcel Gerber in 1956. And he goes into talking about this comparison between children in Kenya, Uganda, and its relationship to African-American children. And in that, they used the Gassell test at Yale University to
That's the guy.
house development. Yeah, some pieces with that. And so he's analyzing that data and that empirical relationship between what they found in infants in 48 hours after birth. And so it's not necessarily something he did the research himself. He's using a meta-analysis methodology to be able to draw that inference. So the brother was on his stuff. He was studying. He was very specific on how he drew inferences from the data that he had at that time.
It does say thank you, and the Cassell was the name of the person that came up, not Gerber before. That's probably why the mix-up. But it does say that he does use a lot of pseudo commentary, but the difference is that his core argument is that racism, white supremacy is tied to power. So that's their. I'm assuming that must be ChatGPT's hang up about it. But now I want to know this Cassell test. A black
So based on that, he's not framing a scientific argument.
Well, see, here's the thing about that Gassell test, and that's why they said it is pseudo. Gassell's research was outdated and biased. Gassell's tests were just conducted in the 20s and the 40s with small, non-representative samples. His team used racial categories without controlling for variables like prenatal care, birth weight, nutrition, or maternal health. And modern developmental psychology does not replicate these claims. Amos Wilson used it as racial proof. He implies that the difference is biological, not environmental. He used this to argue Black children have innate genius that the education system suppresses. Lack of contemporary scientific backing. So he said this like the bell curve. It's like the bell curve.
You can't really understand him.
There's a time when the bell
that
curve
way.
was accepted, so he was using at the information at the time that was accepted. Now it became outdated later.
Oh, what's up, Psycho? I didn't know you was in here.
Peace, what's going on?
You gotta talk a little louder. We can't hear you.
I can hear pretty good.
Speaking of Dr. Amos Wilson, and he talked a lot about racism, white supremacy, and everything. And I'm hearing people say calling Black people racist. I'm just curious to know what definition are we using? Are we using like the basic like Google definition that you just pull up of Webster's or something?
I don't think
I'm glad you're here. We could use some pushback. We could use some pushback right now.
When you generalize an entire race based on something that's not science or proven, that's racism. But in your case, I don't think that these people have the ability to enact racism along the lines of the schools, the power, the redlining, and such. So my definition is when you class an entire race as savage, and because of something that isn't proven, and you just passing this off as science, that's racism. That's actually scientific racism. When you say all white people are savage, I mean, and cold because they grew up in cold environments, or they have some fear of white genetic annihilation, and it ain't scientifically proven, that's racism.
Yeah. So you're talking about like science. You're talking about like race realism, so to speak, right?
Explain race realism. So I know
Race
what you
realism
mean.
is like the bell curve, craniology, based on intelligence and everything else. Scientific
if it's not scientifically proven, especially if you're passing it off. The key word for me, Psycho, is that if you're just talking shit, that's one thing. But if you got a doctor in front of your name and you passing this off to unscientific people as science, it's pseudo and racist, because you shouldn't class an entire race based on something that's not scientific, because that we're all one race. It's a human race, not a black race, a white race. Black and white is constructs. We're humans. So to separate white people do this because of this and black people do this because of this, even if it's a black person doing it, it's still racism. And pseudo. The pseudoscience actually, too. So it fits all three.
Yeah. But I view race a little bit different. As far as we all Homo sapiens. I agree, but it's if you're talking about behavior patterns amongst the races and everything else, that's all social, right? That's all social economic situations that make people behave a certain type of way. So I don't subscribe to that, but phenotypically though, I definitely subscribe to us being different.
Okay. But even in socioeconomic status, I would agree in regards to you have to take into account somebody's socioeconomic status when we're talking about certain things. But with them, like the Iceman inheritance, the cold environment makes the white people cold and savage, and that explains that. And then the white recessive, you're like all of that. That's when you passing that shit off to unscientific people, you're giving an excuse to white supremacy other than it being, even if you say the words power, inferiority, education, control, finance, and then as a doctor also say, well, scientifically though, they are such and such and such and such because of science, and that isn't actual science. That's pseudo and racism. You can't class an entire people by something that's not scientific, because I mean, and the reason why I separated by people talking shit is that if the average idiot in the conscious community just says it, I almost can ignore it. A doctor saying it to people gives it some kind of credibility because of the doctor, and usually the doctor that's saying it isn't even qualified in that field to say it. Frances Cress Welsing wasn't a biologist or a geneticist. She was a psychiatrist. She could diagnose a dream of one person talking to her. She couldn't diagnose an entire race by anything, any stretch of the imagination, not even in psychiatry.
Yeah. Now,
I don't think that's
true.
She has a ability as a psychiatrist, right? Because there's leaning in psychology to make an assessment. She could have put forth a paper and kept it within her framework, and it would have been fine. And all she would do is had to get the other people to support the other type of argument that they're making. But she can actually lay out that as an argument, and she'll be well within her.
For an entire race of people?
I mean, race is socially constructed. So yes,
no.
as a driving factor, yes, yes. Yes.
She
if I
cannot. A
say
psychiatrist cannot diagnose a race of people.
No, she
no, you
cannot
can't. You can't
literally
diagnose.
diagnose
Okay,
them.
and that's all I'm saying.
I
That's all
agree
I'm
with that.
saying. I'm not
Let
going
me. I
past
get
that.
it.
But if I say
it.
something like Asians are short, right? That's a generalized statement. Obviously, you got people like Yao Ming who's 7 foot, but on average, right? On average, they are shorter than most people globally, right? On average, they're shorter people, right? Like, would that be racist?
I don't know. Is that a true thing?
No, that would be stereotypical. But most stereotypes are valid, but it would be a stereotype.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
well, yeah,
But it
the
wouldn't be
studies will
racist.
tell
You
you
know
that.
what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
studies will tell you
Right.
that they're shorter on average.
Yeah. But to simply say all Asians are short is a stereotype. You see what I'm saying? Because you
Right,
generalize
that's
all
it's a
Asians.
blanket statement,
That's
right?
why
It's a blanket
that's why
statement,
it's a
but
stereotype.
it's
Yeah.
based on,
Yeah.
but it's based on
Actual.
statistical facts.
Right. So like I said, most
But
stereotypes are
but
somewhat valid.
psychiatric diagnoses are made on individuals, not groups. You cannot diagnose millions of people you've never
Right.
met or
I
examined.
know that. I know it. That's what I'm telling you. That's why I was trying to explain to you. No, you can't literally diagnose because that's not how you would frame it. Because ChatGPT thinking like, how can you diagnose 1 million people? No, I said, as a psychiatrist, she would be able to put forth an idea on a socially constructed race, and that would be well within her framework. I didn't say she can diagnose 1 million
You
people.
said she could put forth. I just want to be clear because this is outside, so I can only ask ChatGPT. You said she could put forth a framework of what?
I said she could put a framework or a concept, the drivers for this racial superiority, white supremacy. Would she be the white supremacy or systemic racism? That would be well within her framework.
So as a
You don't have
psychiatrist,
to go.
she can put forth. Hold on. She could put forth a framework or a concept for racial superiority. I just want to be clear because you could be right. I just want to check it.
For a driver. For a driver.
He's
For a
saying
driver.
be scrutinized. Yeah.
Yeah, like she could put forth something in the journal. She's an expert in the field. Like she has the ability to do it. Like any MD can do it.
So
I'm
let me
saying,
ask you,
like
does this make
you
sense?
can't
Let me
cross
ask you, does this make sense? Let me ask you, does this make sense? Just deal with this the answer. No. As a legitimate psychiatric framework, not as a legitimate, I said as a psychiatric, no, not as a legitimate psychiatric framework. A psychiatrist can analyze individual or group behavior patterns and propose theories about why people act the way they do, but they cannot create a scientific framework that declares one race superior or pathologizes another race. Last thing, real quick. Psychiatry can study behavior, but not racial superiority. A psychiatrist can create a conceptual model about how racism affects mental health or how fears can drive prejudice, but they cannot scientifically rank races or say this race is superior or inferior. It violates the principles of evidence-based psychiatry and ethics.
Right, and
Is
I'm
that
saying
correct?
that what I'm saying is what you said about the latter. That's what I agree with.
Now, what if I said that white people in this country feel like it's their country? Would that be a racist statement, or would it be inaccurate?
It'd be stereotypical.
Would it be inaccurate?
No, it probably wouldn't be inaccurate.
Black people feel like it's their country, but you can't be talking about everybody as a whole because
when they
you're presuming that it's all.
I would say most black people don't feel that way.
On average, I
wouldn't make that statement. I don't believe that.
You think most black people feel like this is their country in this country?
I think most black people.
When he's making that statement, y'all got to understand he's talking about on average. He's not making an absolute statement.
I'm not making a broad sweeping statement like, I'm not talking absolute.
No, it says it's not racism in the same. It said no, not in the same way systemic racism is prejudice, power, often institutionalized. Saying white people feel like this is their country is an observation about a power dynamic, not a belief that white people are inferior or deserving of harm. It's not advocating. It says, is this a fair assessment? Yes, as long as it's about systems and culture, not every individual white person. And here's why. It says because historically, the 1790 U.S. founding law, 1790 Naturalization Act, explicitly made citizenship white only. Housing, schools, politics have been shaped by exclusionary practices. That legacy still shows up today. So it says you would phrase it as it's not racist to point out a dynamic where the dominant group has historically passed laws and felt ownership over the nation. But you have to frame it carefully, grounded in history, not psychology. So it doesn't sound like a blanket accusation against every white individual. So that's similar to like the Constitution. We weren't, remember, there was a time we weren't human. We weren't considered human. So in this country, they definitely felt like it was their country. And if you go back to certain statements, you could easily make America great again, go back to a time when we weren't human. So I can understand that, but that would be based in history, not a psychiatric diagnosis. I don't think white babies are born thinking it's their country.
No. They socially programmed to believe that.
Right.
So yeah, definitely, that's definitely socially programming. But I do believe they feel that way though.
Grounded in history, I wouldn't argue with you, but not grounded in psychology, and they don't have a gene or a recessive trait that makes them believe it. The fact, I don't think
I
there's
wouldn't
any.
say they inherently feel like. I wouldn't say they inherently is born feeling like this day country. They don't even understand what a country is. So yeah.
But did you hear Psycho? Yeah, but did you hear what I read about Edwin A. Ross though? Psycho?
No, I didn't.
He wrote race suicide, right? In race suicide, he's speaking about the same type of things. A need to protect white superiority and whiteness, and a fear that immigration would lead to a dilution or an erasure of what he called the old white, that Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right? So he espoused different things that would to inform policies to ensure or to protect that whiteness, right? And reaching so far out as to Theodore Roosevelt saying, race suicide is the most concerning thing to civilization.
Yeah. Who wrote this? You said
Edwin Ross. He was a sociologist in the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm. He was white.
Yeah.
He was talking about white. So he was talking about white genocide for the most part.
That's why I brought him up, because he was espousing a fear of genetic annihilation. To be quite frank,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's what beating down Roe v. Wade was all about. They fear white genocide or whatever. But yeah, I definitely feel like people can get quote unquote bred out, so to speak. Look no further than Native Americans. This can happen. So that's a legit fear.
Hey, I think that same guy has something to do with the heritage. What's his name again? Edwin what?
Edward Ross.
Edward Ross.
Just for some clarity,
but
the
Heritage Foundation is the one that funds a lot of that. A lot of the legislative. Well, they're a big lobby, so they push those things through the legislative branch.
And then right behind him, let me put this out there too. And then right behind him is when, if you hear Frances Cress Welsing talk in that video, you get the guy Ben J. Wattenberg writing and doing her time. He talks about, it's called The Birth Death. You know what I'm saying? He's basically piggybacking off of race suicide from Edward Ross to some degree. Go ahead.
When we talking about Roe v. Wade, and I just want to have clarity. I respect Psycho's opinion, but Roe v. Wade is more not about that's more of a personal thing rather than population control. I'm just telling you what's on the books. People can believe whatever they want, but Roe v. Wade by itself that's individuals and their reproductive choices. So I mean, you could put it out.
Yeah,
Christian
Yeah,
But
nationalists were the
I'm
main
not
ones
telling you
that.
what to believe. I'm
No,
just telling
let's talk
you
about it. Let's
what's
just
on the
talk about it.
no. But before, let's be careful. Roe v. Wade is one of them YouTube conversations you got to be careful about. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all can go forward.
People
We
agree
gotta-
with
we
it.
gotta be focused.
Most
got-
religious people agree with
Roe v. Wade.
Yeah,
They just don't know it.
Christian nationalists were the main ones pushing for this for decades.
Right.
Right? Like this is like
The
this ain't
Heritage
something that
Foundation.
popped up out the clip. Yeah, they never was on board with this, right? But white nationalists actually started picking up on this as well, and this is when it started gaining momentum because they was like the Christian nationalists. They was more concerned about going against the scriptures. This is against God, whatever. The white nationalists who actually put even more legs behind this, and they're the ones who actually got it pushed, through the door, was their fear of white genocide. It's a legit fear. That's why they get this. That's what it's all about: getting these Mexicans out of here, getting these black people under control, start having more babies, more white babies per se.
And bring it in more white immigrants who fit that bill.
Yeah,
Like some Sweden and stuff.
All right. Let's move
Donald
on to
Trump
something
said,
else.
"Why ain't we got
Not Jews.
Yeah. I'm trying to protect the channel though. This ain't Chef Channel ain't my
I mean,
channel.
we said more wild stuff than this. This ain't even.
No, not this. There's certain topics that are taboo on YouTube. This is one of them.
Man,
That's
we
all
had
it
a-
does.
we had a major abortion. Like, this ain't even.
Oh, the Roe v. Wade shit. Yeah.
Yes.
Man, we don't win. We don't win all the way.
Yeah, I know.
All the way, all the way.
Y'all crazy on y'all channels, not on
On Mother's Day. Nigga, talking about.
Yeah, on y'all channels, on y'all shit. This Chef shit. Just protect his shit.
Yeah.
So
But
you talk about whatever. Just something
I
else.
think we can have the conversation responsibly.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah,
Chef
you
ain't
got
scared of these
to
white
look into, like, when you're looking at that the whole Roe v. Wade and things, like when you want to go back like decades and when you want to look at the money behind it, the Heritage Foundation is a good starting point.
Hey, Psycho, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Let me ask you a question because I think you missed a lot of the preliminary conversations on how we got here, right? But how do you feel about is there such a thing as a healthy dose of racism? I gotta look around the corner. I'm at work.
What?
You about to get fired at work.
Yeah, I'm about to say you should have said that a little more quieter, my boy.
I had to look around and say,
Uh-huh.
man,
Ears gonna
He said
start
that.
perking up.
Yeah, them ears are like, hold. Actually, yes, there is, sir. Get your ass out of here.
Actually, sir, read your email.
Giving you a call later on.
Yeah, HR just reached out to you. Get your black ass out of
here. Yeah.
I'm about to give you a healthy dose
This
right
nigga
now.
said, y'all can't believe you.
Oh, you want a
somewhere
healthy
whispering.
dose, huh? Okay,
Yeah,
watch this.
He said this nigga somewhere whispering all this bullshit at work. You gonna get fired. Trust me.
I got you.
They
I
on a
can't
company
say
phone.
this stuff out loud in real life.
Hey,
So,
Elijah,
but yeah, so
hey, Elijah, put your phone on speaker real quick.
yeah. Hell no.
Bill Whitey, nigga.
No, sir. I know better.
You said a healthy
Go
dose
ahead.
of what?
Of racism.
A healthy dose. Oh, okay. Kind of what Corey was talking about right around time I came up here.
Mhm.
Seti and all that. I would say yes, based off what people are calling racism. Because what a lot of people are calling racism, I just call pride. I think we have a lack of pride in our community. I think this is why a lot of these ideologies take off and run amok because of the lack of pride we have. And whenever I discuss pride, a lot of times it gets called racism. So that's why I was asking about the definitions and everything, because everybody got their own definitions of what racism is and everything. It gets a little bit confusing sometimes because there's a thin line between pride and racism, right?
Right.
But a lot of times people will muddy the waters and make everything racism. But if you're talking about pride, yeah, there's definitely a healthy dose. I think we need more of it. I don't think we ever have enough pride.
That was
If
a
you had-
fantastic
So
answer.
let me ask you a question.
Fantastic.
So in that same vein, if racism we would agree is a sickness, and I gave you teaspoons of water and said a whole bunch of stuff to make you feel good, and then you eventually died, but you felt better, did I actually help you?
No.
Okay.
No.
So what Wilson is
I'm
doing?
not into like, you know, feel good stories. I know is an issue, and that's what y'all pretty much getting at with the pseudo information, because that's pretty much what that is. Feel good stories. Scholars kind of running them up because they was caught up in trying to get Black people pride, because trying to get Black people to love themselves, right? That's what the whole Black Power movement. Well, not the whole Black Power movement. The cultural part of the Black Power movement was all about getting us to show pride in ourselves, get in tune with who we really are. You know, this is when we started to get the name changes. This is when we started getting more Maliks and Tariqs into the neighborhood. You know, the Hakeems and stuff started popping up in the neighborhood now.
Who's the Malik? Who's the Malik?
That's a good thing right there. I never really peeped that. That's
Who's the Malik?
Yeah.
But I know I'm saying I've seen it in my family, like when we started getting more like eclectic names and shit.
Yeah, like you didn't like before that you had Johns and
exactly
Bills and stuff like that, and then the 60s and 70s came around, the names started changing. You know that's your friends. You grew up around, like I said, people named Malik, Tariq, Hakeem, stuff like that, right? So this is all direct response to the Black Power movement, the cultural side. You know, saying we need to do things. You know, like change. See name changes. You had a lot of that. You had cultural things like I said, the 70s we had beads and everything all over the place that you had to walk through. We didn't have doors. There was a lot of people replaced their doors with African beads and stuff. Black Panther symbols all over the place, and this, that, and the third. You know, a lot of people throwing the fists up. Listen to the music. Music alone in the 70s was all about cultural pride, so to speak. A big difference between the 80s, where everybody was just pretty much caught up with trying to be a pop star. If you go back and listen to the 70s, it was way more about cultural pride, and that's again direct response to the black nationalist cultural side of things. So I thought that was a good thing myself. I thought when we got away from that, that's when we started becoming more naturalized in this country, and we started kind of getting away from this blackness altogether. It became a joke, right? That's when the whole quote unquote Hotep joke started to happen, right? That's when everything started becoming kind of clownish, you know, Living Color and all that, doing these skits and everything, which was hilarious, by the way. But I also think it did disservice to what was going on at the time. Because at that time, we was all in the middle of supporting apartheid, wearing the black medallions, everything else. It was a new resurgence of pride in the late 80s, early 90s. With the
EPMD and them,
all that, and yeah. But right around, I want to say 93, it changed, and that's when all that went out the window, and kind of like it became a mockery. And
well, so Psycho, let me ask
you, to me.
But Psycho, we got a lot of truthful and factual things that we could be proud of. We don't need melanin theory to be proud. We don't need color confrontation. We don't need pool balls. We don't need untested scientific stuff from black doctors giving us some fake kind of pride. And then when you do the fake stuff, here's the danger in the fake stuff. When you start explaining white supremacy as anything other than law, health, power, inferiority, and education, you make it where it's almost impossible to fight. You make it where it's like you can't. No, we can't do this through law. We can't do this through something like that. It's like, how can we beat it? It ain't through the education. Don't look at it's not the education and this, that, and the other. It's this gene, and they're just savage. And you make white supremacy something other than what it actually is. And we don't need the black doctors fucking up the argument, because when we do go for the change. Yeah, when we go for the change, or we go to actually fight it, Psycho. Like, listen, you're a sensible person. Like, you're somebody, and sometimes I gotta remember that when I'm talking to Sosa and these people. I don't think we always put ourselves in the shoes of unscientific, damn near uneducated people. that don't know the difference between a doctor of psychiatry. They just think a doctor could just talk about whatever the hell they want and they qualify. But when they're making it, when a black doctor is making excuses for white supremacy that ain't real and ain't backed in no kind of science, and she's not even qualified to have the conversation, she's actually fucking up our fight against white supremacy, the actual white supremacy, with this fake ass pride.
I actually agree with you. Like I say it all the time. We have to get away from a lot of this old pseudo information that our quote unquote ancestors, elders was putting out there. We have to stop with the elder worship, right? Like they did what they did in their time, and they used a lot of them. Because I don't feel like they all was pseudo. I think a lot of them was just mistaken, right? They worked with what they had at that time. They thought they was being revolutionary. And it come to find out history, as history went on, it didn't age well, right? So, but that's for us to change, right? That's for us to change that information and move their works forward, and everything else is that third. But as long as we holding on to this misinformation, and because we kind of got them up on this pedestal, and nothing they said was wrong, and if you criticize them in any kind of way, somehow or another you being disrespectful. It's crazy to me, because no, it's about getting the right information. Like if I sat up here and I wrote a book, it became a bestseller, right? Won all types of awards, everything else, whatever the case may be. Black community loves me, whatever the case may be. Whoop-de-whoop, they put me on the pedestal. 100 years from now, it comes out that everything I said was bullshit. Everything I said was cap. It was misinformation here, misinformation there, everything, and the third. I would want those people 100 years from now to correct me. I would want them to give my people the right information so they can move forward and not be stuck 100 years in the past because somebody that they worship said it, and i.e. it must be correct. But the mentality in this community is a little bit off. They feel like we just supposed to roll with the bad information because these people said it and they put them on a pedestal, and that's an issue. Like it's about getting the right information. So no, I'm not into the feel-good stories. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, I've caught in heat in the past for criticizing her and her pseudo information. She has a lot of it. Like you said, she's a psychologist. She's not a historian. She's not a biologist. She's not any of these things. But somehow or another, she gets to rewrite history and give her own scientific theories, and everybody props it up because she's Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and she was on Phil Donahue, and she cooked the white boy. Like this, we got to get over this.
Then I agree with that also.
Can I add? Yeah, let me add? Yeah, that was what's up. Let me add something to what you said too. If I was that person who wrote that book, and it came out 100 years later or so that I was wrong, I would. I mean, of course, since I'm dead, but even if they were to resurrect me and ask me, I would absolutely suggest if it comes down to progress, if the next group finds it beneficial to completely throw me away in the name of progress, I would have to be on board because my goal was progress. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if my goal got to supersede all ego at that point, so like that would be me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't feel as if what they were doing was genuine, and since what we're doing is genuine, they shouldn't have a problem. If we are seeing a way to construct a better outcome by removing them, right? We both still have the same goals. I just made it easier for me to achieve mine, because one of the things that it's making it difficult is having to unwind all the shit that you said. So let me give myself a clean slate.
And they're also saying that she doesn't have as much effect, and now that's being said so much that I'm starting to think maybe you don't realize it. So I looked it up, and I'm gonna concur with this. Y'all stop me when you disagree. So it says that she's had no real effect or ignores a ton of visible impact. There's language and framing that she stated that we still say today, and they accredit her. Genetic annihilation, recessive whiteness, melanin power, and color confrontation were not mainstream conversations before her, but now it circulates widely in barbershops, groups, prisons, online conscious spaces, and quotes. direct intellectual lineage. Umar Johnson, Booker T. Coleman, Kaba Hiawatha Khomeini, Booker T. Coleman, parts of the conscious community cite or echo her claims. These things go out to millions of people who then recite it as if it was a scientific fact, as a white supremacy as a biological survival strategy. Media and documentaries, hidden colors, VHS, DVDs, YouTube uploads have amplified her ideas to millions. Her framing, attitudes towards relationships, her framings help normalize suspicion of interracial dating, marriage in a lot of circles in the Black community. Therapy and health beliefs, her stance that racism is rooted in white biology feeds the distrust of white institutions, including medicine and mental health. Homophobia dressed as theory. She argued that homosexuality among Black men was encouraged by white supremacy to prevent Black reproduction. That idea gave pseudo-intellectual cover to Black people in regards to homophobia in our communities. Two more. Campus and community study groups. From 1990s onward, the ISIS papers was a staple in Black student unions, community reading groups, and prison libraries. It influenced how problems are explained, biology, melanin, versus how they're solved, policy and resources. And the last one, even her critics debate her. So if there's no real effects means no bill in Congress, sure. But if her ideas reshaped how millions explain racism, sex, and power, and that changes choices, families, and care, that's impact. So she definitely had an impact. I'm not gonna, and that's the thing, her legacy is being critiqued mainly because she was a doctor. We had a 2-minute conversation on Neely Fuller. That was easy.
Yeah, listen.
But the fact that she,
I'm back.
That's the fact that she was a,
opinion. That's
okay, that's not, but I agree with it. That's
you
right.
agree with ChatGPT? Yes.
I agree with that. I don't agree with everything ChatGPT says. I agree with that. I agree that it's been amplified.
Talk about that. Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Okay, so the last thing, my last point is, I'm not minimizing her education. I think when everybody keeps saying that this medical doctor during the time couldn't make a medical sound decision on what to tout as science or not, I think y'all are now disrespecting this lady because she knew. To say that she didn't know better is a bad argument. That's a bad argument, specifically to her. But y'all can have at that argument that she had no effect, and her degree had nothing to do with it. That's wild.
I'm past the Frances Cress Welsing. I feel like at this point, whatever everybody said, you've already said. Whoever gonna agree. Whoever don't agree, don't agree. I don't think opinions at this point gonna be shifting towards Frances Cress Welsing. You know what I'm saying? I think
I'm not
everybody's
trying to
ready
shift them. Yeah, I'm not trying to shift them.
And yeah, I more want to see how y'all do the others. that was, you know what I mean? That's I'm more interested in that now.
Well, I'm clear on Leonard Jeffries.
I'm
clear on Leonard Jeffries. Racist and pseudo.
Yeah, like I think another better question is too, like, because y'all keep I don't harp on racist ideas at a certain time period, and I think that's also what's running interference in concepts and where we are. Like that's why I kept saying, like, you know, I'm not going to treat the victim the same way I do the abuser. So I don't expect, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we got MLK and others, great. But that don't negate that there were so many other people that got damaged due to that shit. So if they spew some, so if they had a little racist idea, racial attitude, it's all in the game. I get it. I ain't saying it makes it right. I understand. And I don't minimize it. But I'm saying I don't put that on equal footing. So that's what I'm saying. The fact that somebody had a little some racial ideas, I'm not really swayed by that. So I want to see if I know how you feel, but I wonder how other people feel about that concept.
Well, I mean, I know, like I said, it was good intentions in a lot of this stuff, right? I would say most of it was good intentions. I don't feel like they was like today's grifters or whatever the case may be. They're just out there just trying to get super chat money and everything else. I don't put them in that bag, right? Like they literally was trying to find some information that, you know, that was, you know, they thought was prevalent, that was quote unquote hidden, so to speak. They kind of really believed that. And so they was trying to and again instill some black pride into the community. So it was all done in good intentions, but at some point, when do we correct the wrong information? Like, do we just keep doing this? Like,
no, I think we always do. That's why we used to say, like, okay, people with assertive, we can say they're pseudo, but the more responsibility lies on the people in 2025 that's still using those types of work. It's 2025. You know what I'm saying? Internet, Wi-Fi, ChatGPT, there's so many ways to get to it and be correct. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? You don't need to go back 60 years and start trying to build on information 60 years ago as your at the forefront of your knowledge. That's insane to me.
See, I kind of think that we do, right?
So are we under the belief? Oh, my bad, Logic. Go ahead.
Because like those people are the author of these thought processes, right? And if you don't get to like the actual root of where the conversation comes from, you could talk to Polite all day, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't stomp out like the idea, you just stomping out Polite, and the idea is still floating.
Yeah, but I know Sad wanted to say something. But you want to say something, Sad?
Go ahead, Sad.
No, I was just curious if people are under the impression that just because they don't know Frances Cress Welsing by name, that people aren't aware of the shit that she put out here.
Great
Are we
point.
saying that?
Great.
I just want to know.
Great
no.
point.
I mean, no, we aware of that, right? But I'm saying like that's
but it's not alarming.
Yeah, it is alarming.
It's not alarming that people don't even know where this idea started from, but they are fully aware and have adopted the idea to some degree. That's not alarming at all.
If you bury that person, how do they even find out where the idea?
We don't let the idea keep going.
The idea is going to keep going because we can't determine who. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, the idea keeps going because you don't have enough of this counteraction to the thousands and millions of views I've seen on videos of people spewing the shit today in 2025, like y'all like to say. I can show you, demonstrate it. There's plenty. I got friends that I meet now that are still spewing it.
Right, because most of the world is unscientific.
Okay, but that doesn't mean you let them be. What are we saying? Are we saying that we just allow this?
What I'm saying is that
allow people to just continue on being wrong.
No, what I'm saying is the pseudoism are always out.
Yes, and that's why we have these discussions and methods to counteract this, because we see how dangerous it could potentially be.
I get it. But that's why when I came into it, my thing was, leave all them in the past. If we're gonna build some information, let's build our information off the frontier stuff, right? Relevant work. I'm saying we got historians of today.
But we're talking to people that still believe.
How do you do that though? So
you can't do that.
You can't even move past this. Yeah, how do we get
as soon as we try to push the real information, people come around and say, no, that's not what Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said. That's not what Dr.
And even if they don't say Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said, they don't say that's not what Dr. Ben.
So now we got to argue. So now we got to argue the information.
Yeah, I'll go to the same time.
They start quoting all these people.
I get it. So here we are now. Here we are now doing it. Here we are now critiquing the whole work. We went through everything she done. Now what do? We just keep doing it?
No, we just have.
How do we move? No, I'm saying
hold on. There's a reason why we keep doing it, because then you just said don't go back 60 years and make it the forefront of the argument. Just because there's context of 60 years ago, it don't mean that it wasn't what it was. And
that's not what I'm saying.
Hold on. Last question. I'm gonna be quick.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm not. And let me take that back. I'm not saying that that's what you're saying. Some of this is because while I'm running the show and I'm talking to the brothers in here who have some grounding, some scientific grounding. We ain't scientists, but some scientific grounding and some kind of level of even recognizing our own biases. I'm listening for the past 4 days and said, you can confirm this or tell me I'm lying. There are people in the chat right now that believe this stuff fully. Not the pseudo part, not the this. They're literally telling us that we're crazy for saying it's pseudo. So here's the thing: when you're talking to these people about these new concepts in 2025, this, that, and the other, you have to address their biases. You have to address the pseudoism because they won't be able. They're a full cup. They won't be able to receive anything because their cup is full with this bullshit. So you
Listen,
gotta
the
address that.
people, those people in the chat that still have the idea, still holding on to it, they're going to be stuck where they are. My point is that in 2025, this is what I'm talking about, right? I have a daughter, right? I'm not raising my daughter on Francis Cress Wilson. I'm not going
But
down that far.
in the event she has encountered it in the
hold-
future, how will you frame that to
Yeah.
her?
In the event I counted, yeah, do I get in the future? But I know the history. I can break it down to say, listen, no, that's not the way to go. Here's what went on. This is this time. She made those statements here. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that stuff is based in Afrocentrism, going against Afrocentrism and Eurocentric thought, right? And a lot of bad ideas came out of that shit. A lot of racist rhetoric, so I can explain that to her, and I'm gonna push her,
Okay,
usher her out of that BS into some real scientific stuff that's within her time frame. Like she should not
Got
be.
it. But let's
She's
say
born in
she
2000
encounters
listen,
it
she's born
not
in
from Cress Wilson.
2011. She's born in 2011. I hope she should not even know who Dr. B. And I'm thinking like there should be a point to where that's just what it is. And if we don't, right, once we get to the point we don't talk about, like this is the most exposure Francis Cress Wilson's got. And
Why y'all keep saying that when we talking to people who still believe her shit, whether they know it came from her or not? Because there's some random Instagram video circulating that your daughter may pick it up from. She may not never know Cress Wilson's name, but she may pick
what I'm
this up
talking about in terms of this community, in terms of shows, in terms of saying the name, Francis Cress Wilson. This hasn't been done. And probably since Hidden Colors, bro. We don't have no shows about. I haven't seen something that might be a show. Like this is the most she's been talked about this
but
long.
on them same but on them
I can't believe we seeing it still it's rearing its head today.
Yeah,
something that comes from 6 years ago, and we acting like this shit is just like, oh yeah, it's just back then. No, it's right now. It's right now. It's not as niche as you think.
Hold on.
Just because they can't name the folks, it's niche when you get to be like, oh, I know where these ideas came from.
Even if they're not.
However, these niche ideas have spread, bro. They've grown legs to the fact that majority of us have.
This is wild.
Have walked.
We're being very hypocritical here. We're being very hypocritical here, and this is why I'm saying we're being very hypocritical. I've dropped out of more school than anybody inside here. And I've got accepted in more school than anybody inside here. Don't let me start the list from medicine to pharmacy to everything. I was a brilliant child, but I don't give a fuck, right? But one thing I've learned when I'm going to school is that we have all been introduced to theories that are no longer accepted. Before the germ theory, there was an environmental theory when it comes to the spread of diseases. We mention them in passing, but we don't dwell on them. Right? There are other theories that were mentioned in passing, and we don't dwell on them. We say, well, these people were misinformed. We don't throw them under the bus. We don't discard them. We just say these theories were misinformed. And many of these theories were from racist white men. And when you go to class, this teacher still mentioned them. But when I heard somebody say, I want to eliminate her totally from history, that's a line too far. Somebody said, well, nobody going to know who she is or who she was.
Can eliminate no one from history. That's not what anyone's saying. We're challenging the ideas that still exist.
Stop for a second, because you hear what you don't listen.
You may not have said it, but somebody else might have said it.
Somebody said they wanted her totally forgotten. It's the same thing. Stop it, man. If you listen, you would
when you say you, it's the same thing as y'all.
It wasn't you who said it. It wasn't you who said it, but somebody in the panel said it.
You said it to the group, though. Go ahead, Stu, please.
Right. So when you look at it, other people in passing get mentioned. Pseudoscience always exists, and they always get mentioned and debunked in classes. Everybody who do a college course of any significance has been introduced to that. And so that's the way people thought. She might have been wrong with her approach, but we're not going to forget her. Because she was a fighter. I'm not going to forget my If you want to forget your fighters, you can go ahead. But I'm not going to forget my freedom fighters. And you have to call her that. Continue.
So can I introduce another name?
Go ahead.
What about the wonderful Dr. Naeem Akbar?
Now you got Mujasi got
I don't know. I don't know him.
You don't
I'm not.
know.
I'm not familiar with all his stuff. I know who he is, but I'm not familiar with most of his views.
Somebody
Yeah,
that's familiar with him, would you be honest, or without the reverence, can you remove him from your feelings about him, your emotions, and just say what he is? I
Don't know
him.
much about him, but I think he's closer to the in crowd than
if you don't know
than Amos Wilson is. He like really rolled with them, like Amos Wilson.
Yeah, I wouldn't call Amos Wilson like a hotep or nothing like that, or whatever the case may be.
No, and they didn't either. They basically, it says he uses that rhetoric very, very minimal compared to his core beliefs that he espouses more than anything.
What you see with Naeem Akbar is that his methodology in terms of psychology is that he tries to ground his work in principles of psychology. So in his book, Community of Self, it really don't have a whole lot of like Black focus or Afrocentric stuff. It's more so like a summation of his dissertation that he submitted, which was real dope. When you go into psychological change and images of slavery, he's breaking down some of these patterns and tropes that he's assessed in terms of habituations of character and personalities that he believe are images or retentions from slavery. Is it grounded in empirical data? I don't think so, but he's making a theory and he's making an argument. In his book, Visions for Black Men, he's really just breaking down kind of like some key concepts in the progress of understanding male mentality, boy mentality, and the concepts of what it means to be an African-American man. And it's in that pivotal work that he launched in 1991 where you could see more of his work leaning towards, well, I would say psychological images and chains of slavery as well, too, where he's focusing more on the reality of Black folks, our psychology, particularly men. In some circles, he's classified as one of the foundational theorists around Black male studies, along with a few other people. But it's when he gets into like light of the world and he's going into the whole Egyptology stuff is when he lost me a little bit, because he started talking about the concept of the Saku, which is he believes is an early principle of the foundational kind of spiritual foundation of where psychology come from. During this time, he was like an influential scholar and researcher within ABSI, which is what me and Logic was talking about yesterday. So you'll see him employing some theoretical language and concepts that are centered around African psychology and Afrocentric thought that isn't entirely grounded in empirical data. But when you look at some of his other concepts where he's diagnosing different parts of the self, disassociation, self-identity, and pieces like that, those are real pieces that he pulled from foundational psychological models that, you know, are based on his training. Now, it's up to y'all to evaluate whether y'all want to classify him as
he's a
pseudo or
racist.
not.
He's a racist in the pseudo.
Yeah, based on y'all definition, y'all might say he's a racist.
A racist?
Not necessarily mine.
Yeah,
I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time understanding how you.
Let me land here real quick. Let me land here real quick. I just want to land real quick because I'm gonna throw a quote in there. I don't classify him as a racist at all. I subscribe to a lot of his work.
Hold on, let him finish, Brad.
Because I got to jump off. But I always bring him up because I elevate the concept of his excellence versus perfection model. And I'm going to throw a quote into the Discord real quick where I extract that from, which is from his 1991 version of his Visions for a Black Man on page 65. So I would say, I know we tend to lean towards the chat and the AI to kind of give us a good analysis, but open up the books, open up the material, because I think there's going to be a little bit more you'll draw from their readings versus kind of using a summation that's coming from something else. And I'll land there. Appreciate y'all.
All right, let me let's Sister Safa get her.
She asked the question.
before you read how ratchet he is,
I didn't
despicable,
say racist. I don't pronounce ratchet as
rancid,
racist. It's
rancid.
racist.
Go ahead,
But
sister.
go ahead, Sister Star. Yeah.
I agree with everything that the brother who just spoke said. I believe that his in his area of expertise, he was very sound scientifically,
Nope.
except for some of the I think the whole Kemet thing, everybody was maybe jumping on that bandwagon or trying to implement that here and there and wherever. But I'm having a problem with you guys constantly using the word racist
Yeah.
for some of these
Tough,
people. I'm not sure.
You got to
Excuse
realize
me?
some of us, you know what I'm saying? Because you know, Brass is like Brass responded to racism, so there's a bunch of us in there. So not everybody might not have the same, you know, concept of it. I don't agree.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. I thought maybe it was just me. So if you
Racial.
look up the definition of racism, I'm trying to understand how we're applying that to how would you apply that to somebody like Dr. Akbar?
Okay. Naeem Akbar's framework is racial essentialism. He assigns fixed psychological and moral traits to entire racial groups. It's racism. The African personality is spiritual, communal, and intuitive. The European personality is materialistic, individualistic, and analytical. That assigns an innate trait to entire races. Racial essentialism is a core feature of racism. So if you assign a trait to an entire race with no scientific data, you're just saying it. You're just saying this whole race is this. That's racism. Now, I don't care if y'all like him. I don't care if y'all, I'm trying to be as clear as possible. The alien self disorder, none of this is science. And here's another part. I'm starting to believe logic is true. He's another goddamn academically qualified psychologist doing all this shit. All these psychologists and all these psychiatrists that don't stay in their lane, they don't use science, they talk as scientists that dabble in biology, theology, and history. He's not a historian, he's not a biologist, and he's not a theologian.
Well, he's
And
not just a psychologist. He was
hold on,
the head.
Let me land my plane. You cannot apply a biological and genetic innate trait to a race unscientifically, and it's not racism. So if you telling me that we can do that, then I think we about to give a pass to every white person that does it to us. If we could say black people could do it, but white people can't do it, it's both racist. And here's the thing. I think y'all think when I say racist, he's a terrible person. No, don't stop me. He says, if I think that racism, I don't think he's a terrible person. I could just diagnose something quick. If it's racial essentialism, then that's what it is. It don't mean we gotta hang him. It don't mean we gotta eliminate him from history. I can call him a racist and a pseudo and move on. Y'all the ones that need him to be these pure individuals for some reason. Y'all ignoring his racism because of emotion. That's my opinion.
All right. So listen, you have something else you want to say, Safa? Because I just asked.
Oh, no. I just wanted to answer or some insight into his thinking. So, and I got it.
Because I just asked if Naeem Akbar was a racist, and it says no, he's not considered a racist. He's a respected clinical psychologist known for his African psychology, focus on the mental health and cultural relevance of African Americans, work critiques Eurocentric, blah 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 blah. And then it was like there's no credible evidence, reputable source labeling him as a racist. Instead, his role has been a scholar and advocate addressing psychological effects of racism and oppression on Black people. So, what did you ask ChatGPT? Because now I gotta I'm gonna fight it all. I'm gonna fight everything AI. What do you ask ChatGPT? Because I want to see how what methodology is being used. Like what is each one drawing from to make, you know what I mean, to draw its conclusions. You right, Brass? I don't know the question.
Oh, I
Yeah,
ain't
we,
looking
we
for
might
him
have to
now. He might
we might
bar.
have to make sure because Brass has been typing in a lot of Afrocentrics recently, so he might
We
Yeah,
be
and
gotta
I was
interested.
and I
make sure.
wonder, Brass, in a lighthearted way, have you been asking ChatGPT, or telling them that you're tired of all these educated Negroes in the conscious community? Did you wake up this morning and put that in there first?
While
No,
I
you have
am,
to
while I,
challenge it.
while
Like,
I,
why y'all
hold on. Just to be clear, while I am tired of all these educated Negroes right now, Sister Safa, that's not what I'm asking ChatGPT.
What question did
So,
you ask?
I said, would Naeem Akbar qualify as a pseudo or a racist? It says, yes, Naeem Akbar falls into the same lane as Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Francis Cress Welsing. He's not as extreme as Welsing, but many of his claims are pseudo-psychology and are racist, essentialist framing. Here it is. It says, his framing
No.
is racist. Hold on.
Yeah, we don't got to get into the whole thing because I want to just stop and then like we already read what it was. So I want to say now, like, ask it this: how are you calling him a racist when he's not considered a racist? Like, ask and see what it does, and just to see what the AI does.
Okay. How are you calling him a racist? But what?
When he's not considered a racist.
Y'all could talk. I don't type that.
I'm starting to think that ChatGPT is two-faced. It tells you what you want to hear and what you want to say depending on the conversation you having with it.
Okay, so here it is. Here it is. It says, that's a fair question, and here's the key distinction. Naeem Akbar isn't commonly labeled a racist because of his reputation as a respected Black psychologist and because his intent was empowerment. His ideas, however, meet the pure definition of racial essentialism, which is a form of racism. Intent versus framework. His intent is to uplift Black people and heal from oppression. But the framework he's using is racial essentialism, African personality versus European personality, where entire races are assigned fixed moral psychological traits. Racial essentialism is when you treat races as having innate qualities. That is racist, no matter how you feel about him, even if the intent is positive for one group or the other. Racist.
Brass, do you think a lot of the people who may have a different opinion from ChatGPT, you think is based on their feelings?
I think the people in here, yeah.
Because I type in a perplexity, right? Listen, I ask, does he?
Let me answer this question. I think, okay, so when we have the conversation about racism, now I'm gonna go political science for half a second. When we talk about a person being racist, right? When we name these people, I can already tell the people that we got to look at, because as soon as we say certain names, the emotion has to be that, because it's, oh no, not him, couldn't be him. These are emotional responses. The funny thing is, when I'm presenting these facts, nobody is disputing the facts. I just presented you a fact that proves racial essentialism, and nobody is arguing the fact. They just arguing the person. I'm bringing up the actual fact of why they're saying it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Interject. Hold on. Sosa, can I interject real quick? When we asked about Naeem Akbar, Brother Brass, I gave you kind of like a synopsis of most of the material that I read by him and just kind of summated the best way I can as quick as possible and just made my deduction based off of me analyzing his work. And even some of the work that I said I might have a little problem with. Do you think that was still even personally me? That I was motivated by my emotions with it?
No. You specifically. So when I made y'all, that was a generalist statement. I agree with your assessment. I agree. When you made your assessment, I was mainly speaking to Sister Safa. But I agree with your assessment that some of his stuff is this, that, and the other. Because even ChatGPT says you don't have to call him a Klan member or a hater in that racist sense. Mm-hmm. But if you teach that Europeans are innately materialistic and Africans are inherently spiritual with no scientific evidence, that's the same essentialist logic racism has always used. You can't fix racism by flipping the script. It's still racism. If you're saying that that sentence is true, but you just don't want to call Naeem Akbar a racist, not you. I'm just saying to the people listening, if he's doing this and you don't want to call him a racist, then fine, you don't have to. I'm taking a hard line because most of these people, I don't even know until y'all bring them up. It just seems that all these psychologists and psychiatrists are doing the same biological, historical, theological, scientific explanations for supremacy and racism. And if you diagnose an entire group, that's racism.
All right,
Tell
so
me
the reason
that
I'm doing it, I
argue
get it.
the
The reason I'm
argument. Don't argue the person.
listen, I don't like for clarity. Like, I don't really speak about Naeem Akbar. 'Cause I really haven't. I've heard about. I haven't read anything about him. So like, I'm not gonna pretend that. You know what I mean? So I just keep it in the context of. I'm just using AI and going what it's going with. So I don't know anything about him. And I think it's fair too. That's a point you brought up. Like, you can't just learn about somebody through AI. You got to get some clarity. So I'm trying to figure out why we're getting different, right? Because now I'm just gonna start. I've been juxtaposing the same thing in perplexity, just to get a different feel and see if it'll spit out the same thing, right? And then try to figure out why is it doing something different. I think that's my next thing.
And these are new searches, by the way. So
When
I learned from you and
I get
Hicks.
it,
These
I
aren't
get it, but
these aren't the
when I go
same
like,
Muslims.
I know, but I'm saying when next time when I settle down, I'm gonna do shows to just AI. So, but look, I just ask just plainly, does he use racial essentialism as an argument? So it says Naeem Akbar does use concepts that relate to racial identity and cultural essentialism and its abstract approach to psychology, but it is nuanced rather than simplistic. He critiques Eurocentric psychology for imposing definitions of normal that do not fit African Americans and call for African Americans to define normalcy according to their own cultural worldview. So in this context, he identifies certain psychological disorder in African Americans, such as alien self and anti-self disorder, which relate to rejection or negative views of one's own racial identity. So it says, Naeem Akbar emphasizes the centrality of Black identity and spirituality as core to the self, critiquing models like William Cross's Negrescence, that he feels downplay the racial/cultural core or sees secure Black identity as dependent on comfort with other racial groups. So I'm just going to get down to the summary. So it says, in summary, our perspective could be interpreted as a type of cultural or racial essentialism, but it is purposeful and context specific, aiming to rectify what he sees as psychological harm from Eurocentric oppression rather than making simplistic or reductive racial claims.
If
Right?
you,
And
I
I'm
just
just
want to
saying,
ask
like,
you a
that
simple.
AI,
I'm gonna ask
saying
you.
like,
Go ahead.
hold on, saying like that AI respond seems contrast to what, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out, why is that
I'm gonna
happening?
put my response in the chat. I just put they're saying it's purposeful and simplistic, and then I even put I used some of your question. Prove how he uses racial essentialism as racism, and is there nuance? Is his racism simply diagnosing an entire race and teaching on that? Yes, Naeem Akbar's work clearly uses racial essentialism. Racial essentialism is the core problem. So Sosa, without ChatGPT, if you diagnose an entire race with an inherent trait and that's not backed by science, is that racism?
Yeah, what's the quote? What did he say?
No, that's a question. No, I'm asking you. I'm not using ChatGPT. I'm asking you a question.
I would suppose so. Yeah. So I'm saying, like, so now give me
So
a
if
quote.
he does that, would that make him a racist as a psychologist?
I would
using racial.
I would label.
Don't, hold on, Gullah. Go ahead. So
I would label that statement. Yeah, that statement as that's racist. Like, yeah. Now, what was the statement? And then let me get the context from it, so we can see if that's what actually was done. So
the African personality, the
Are you
African
serious, Sosa?
No, I don't. I'm not familiar.
I don't even like that this show seems to be about what I think.
Hold on.
It's nobody else is talking. But
I'm back now. I'm
supposed
This shit got more traction than Black Egypt.
And it's social, it's social after party. So you know what I'm saying, I want to get it all out. That's the key. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out, like, Chef. Hold on. Because I gotta clarify. Because I feel like a chef, I said, like, I'm not familiar with Naeem. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm learning on the fly. So that's why I'm asking the question. I haven't read it.
The statement is this: the African personality. This is in Know Thyself, 1999, page 48. The African personality
is fire. That book was fire.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
It says the African personality.
If you got it, Chef, drop it in the chat.
Communal and intuitive. The European personality is materialistic, individualistic, and analytical. This assigns permanent moral and psychological traits to races. Africans is coded as morally superior, Europeans as morally deficient. That's racial essentialism with no fluff.
Oh, that was just ain't no more context? I ain't going for it right. I need a little more context in there.
I put something in the chat if someone wants to read it. I dropped something in there. I also asked ChatGPT the question, why would some feel that Naeem Akbar is racist?
Go ahead, Chef. Go ahead. I'm going to read it. Go ahead, Chef.
Okay. Well, I mean, I remember getting one of his books, and it was so fire, it came with a CD, right? And the CD,
I remember that CD. I remember that.
Yeah, it was hip hop beats, and there was certain.
Yeah.
They broke it up and gave bits and pieces of his lecture because of the way he spoke, his cadence and his rhythm. Man, Naeem Akbar was the shit, but he racist. Hey, that's not something.
Oh man.
Hey, man. I'm not saying that we can't use some stuff.
What that nigga just read?
Is he on par with Seti Shefflin? Is Naeem Akbar on par with Sarah?
He's the Godfather. He's the Godfather. He talked all that and everything.
Let Gullah get it out. Go ahead, Gullah. Gullah. Man,
you hear you talking, Gullah.
Well, yeah, Gullah. As soon as I start to read, you gonna come back in. Bow. Yeah.
Yeah, what that nigga just read was racist as hell. Shit, racialization is racist, period. That shit's some stupid ass, non-scientific ass shit.
Thank you, Gullah.
All right. So I'm reading Sister Safa. She said, "Why my son accused Dr. Akbar of being racist?" So it said, centering African identity and culture. So it said, Akbar unapologetically centers African heritage, values, approach. Some critics interpret this as racial exclusivity or favoritism, especially when contrasted with the universalist claims of Western psychology. And then misinterpretation, promoting one cultural identity. Then ChatGPT says, this is crazy too. Misinterpretation. Promoting one's cultural identity is not racism. It's reclamation and healing in the face of centuries of oppression. And then it says, too, criticism of white supremacy and Eurocentrism. Akbar strongly critiques the psychological effects of white supremacy, colonization, and slavery. He asserts that Eurocentric psychology is culturally harmful to Black people. Those unfamiliar with the historical context may see this as an attack on white people rather than a critique of systemic dominance. Clarification. He critiques the system